Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners, and also the effect of the rate cuts and our predictions for the presidential election of 2024. So, with that being said, let's get it. All right. So, first things first, I want to go over the rate cuts. So, pretty much the gist of the rate cuts, okay, is the Fed is cutting by 50. They did cut by 50 basis points. Has not reflected yet here, but it will at some point. The yield curve is uninverted, which is usually an early sign of a recession. Do I think there's going to be a recession? No. Look, I think that the Fed cut and they're going to adjust their policy accordingly to ensure a soft landing and the continued growth of um, the economy without re-stimulating inflation. Okay, that's what I expect is likely going to happen. I am very confident that they can pull this off. Powell would not have come out during the meeting and said so unless he was completely sure. Powell, I'm sure you guys, those of you that have watched the FOMC meetings, you know that usually when Powell says something, he sticks to what he says he's going to do. So I have no reason to believe that anything could change. Could there be a black swan event? I don't really see it happening, honestly. Not this time. I don't think so. I mean, it's always a possibility. But you guys got to understand, people have been predicting, you know, asset bubbles and black swan events and doom and gloom for it seems like every year. Okay, even when times are good, they're saying, "Oh yeah, it's going to be next year. It's going to be next year, guys." Nobody knows. Okay, but I would say the likelihood of that happening is essentially non-existent. So I want to touch up real quick on the elections before we get any further into the content here. So I'm not going to go super deep into this, and we may or may not talk about this again before the elections. If we don't talk about this again before the elections, it's because at this point we're certain of our answer and we don't feel the need to change it or to further explain ourselves about this. Here's what I think is going to happen with the elections. Okay, I think what's going to happen with the elections is that Donald Trump is going to get reelected by at least the margin that he beat Hillary Clinton in 2016. Okay, if not a landslide against Kamala Harris. Look, the reality is whether you're for the left, whether you're for the right, whether you're for Democrats, Republicans, whatever you're for the LGBTQ, whether you're for God, whether you're not for God, the reality is we can't all have what we want. Okay, nobody's in no situation is everybody going to have their cake and eat it too in 100% of all cases. Okay, so I would say that the better outcome here is that everybody at least gets something that they want and the economy is restored. Illegal immigrants that by whatever the Trump administration chooses to do get deported out of here at whatever measure they get deported out. Okay, in accordance with the soft landing narrative. But the reality is, everyone can change and grow and become better people. There doesn't need to be tribalism. Okay. In my opinion, with Trump reelected, everybody can win. Okay. With Kamala being reelected, they're going to tell you what they want to tell you until they get elected, and then they're going to take away all your rights. That's exactly what I think is going to happen. We've already seen threats coming from the Democrats of, oh well, we want to throw people in jail for misinformation and memes, and they talk about they're for the gun rights, but then, or maybe I should be saying that on here, they're for the 2A rights, but then they say that things like ARs should be banned. There's nothing in the Constitution that says what should and should not be allowed. It says that everyone has the right to bear arms, right? Um, so the founding fathers created the country. Why should we? They were given that task by divine mandate. Why should we be the one to question it when it happened over 350 years ago in a different time, different place, where conflict like we're seeing on an international level took place, but at a more magnified scale. Okay, something greater of scale, kind of like World War III in that context. So the reality is if we want a future of peace and prosperity, in my opinion, we're going to get that with the Trump administration. Not everybody's going to get what they want, but everybody will win in that situation ultimately. Okay, that's what matters, that everybody wins, that there is a good future for the people of this country and the people around the world, because the US is the leader of the world stage. Okay, if the US succeeds, the world succeeds. If the US falls, the world falls. That's how it is. So people that think that they think that they know what they want need to be careful what they ask for, because they might just get a bunch of stuff they don't want. So anyways, enough of that. So let's get into the content here. So we're going to go over Bitcoin first, and we'll go over the miners. All right. So just on the news of the Fed cut today, which again is very bullish for crypto. Crypto is the fastest horse in the race. Okay. Usually crypto responds the fastest because, again, the riskiest assets like small caps in the Russell 2000 and cryptocurrencies have the most to benefit from the Fed rate cuts. So they're going to be the most bullish in reaction. Okay. So we're already seeing that. If I actually go over here to the daily time frame before I get into the major metrics here on Bitcoin, you can see that already Bitcoin had a golden cross and it is moving up, and it's even breaking out from this long 6-month downtrend on the RSI as well. So if I just measure this move right here, you can see that Bitcoin's already up 4%. That's an absolutely massive move for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not a small asset by any means. It's it's quite large. So you can see here on CoinGecko that the entire market cap as a whole is up 0.3%. I don't know exactly what 0.3% of 2.2 trillion is, but it is a lot of money, so it's not small by any means. Lots and lots of green across the board. Bitcoin up to 61,000, $1.2 trillion market cap. Okay, it may be small compared to like the stock market and stuff like that, and gold and whatnot, but it's not small compared to like, the tech companies and other companies in the United States. So good stuff. Market's moving up. Crypto. Again, the crypto search term is sitting at all-time lows. I mean, this is pretty much where we were sitting right about the bear market lows in 2022. So once again, even though the Fed is just starting to get rates cut, I would still say even now we're still early. So Bitcoin, same thing. It's pretty much just sitting around kind of those low teens. That's pretty much where we were before the approval of the spot ETFs, and also we're actually even lower now than we were during the crypto bear market lows, pretty much right around those areas. So yeah, I guess about spot on. So once again, that tells me likely that we're early. I would say about 3 to 6 months before Bitcoin and altcoins start popping off. That may even be generous. Bitcoin might start moving towards all-time highs in October or November. So now going over to the MVRV. This thing, once again, is sitting much closer to the green box than the red box. That's the point I want to make here, which indicates that according to this metric, Bitcoin and crypto as a whole is very cheap. Usually when we get much closer to these pink boxes up here, that's when we should that's when I would be like, yikes, maybe it's time to get the hell out. That's just me personally. So crypto fear and greed. Once again, this thing has not been doing much of anything. Bitcoin's been in that bull flag, kind of just chopping around. There was a little bit of fear going into the Fed meeting, but the Fed made it clear that they're going to try to get ahead of things to ensure the soft landing. Again, we talked about the convergence of the timing of events, where inflation will come down slowly over time. The unemployment rate will remain low over time. Okay. And asset prices will go up over time. Okay. That's kind of the gist of what I wanted to say there without causing a recession. So in terms of this fear and greed, again, sitting at all-time lows, that's usually the best time to buy. So the crypto market is now recovering compared to where it was at the lows. I mean, if you guys weren't buying at the lows, there's a good chance that crypto may continue to move up in the coming days. I know the back half of September is usually the most bearish time of September and the most bearish time of the year, but it may be a little bit different in this case. We may see things start to move up early, maybe up a little bit, sideways, up a little bit, kind of like what Bitcoin did back here in 2020. I'm actually going to show you guys this. Usually I would not put this in this kind of context, but you can see that we pulled back in August. What do? We kind of went sideways in September, and then in October, November, we skyrocketed to the moon, roughly about roughly about this time 4 years ago during the previous halving and bull run cycle. So Bitcoin rainbow chart, I don't give a crap about this thing being a rainbow. Okay, it's just a regression band to me. But basically, the idea here is that we're in the buy or basically a fire sale zone. So the further to the right this thing is, the cheaper it is, and the better the time to buy. The further the left it is, the more expensive it is, and the better time it is to sell. So Nupal chart. This one's pretty basic. So when we're in the green zone, that's the best time to buy. When we're in the euphoria and greed, that's the best time to sell. We're kind of in the middle right now. That's to be expected. Bitcoin's just chopping around, so I'd say I'm pretty neutral on this one. Pi cycle top indicators. So the Pi cycle top indicator, the three things I want to point out about this one is we're below the yellow line, okay, or the yellow EMA. Usually when that happens, we do end up getting back above it, especially in bull runs. You can see that. So we had our ultimate low here, boom, came back above it, tested it, went up. There was a couple of times we got below it in 2017, but it did ultimately come back above it and then go up. And the second thing I want to point out here is that we have not gotten above the green band yet on the EMAs. Usually when that happens, that is when the most explosive move to the upside comes, okay? We've seen it every single cycle, with the exception of this one, at least so far. So current prices here at the low 64,000, at the highs 100,000. So once it gets back above 64,000, it'll be in between these two bands. And then the third thing I want to point out here is that we're not even close to the two EMAs touching. Usually when they touch, that's the top of the move for Bitcoin for that cycle, and we're far, far away from that. I mean, this thing has to get to almost 100K just to get to the green band, let alone above the green band, before these two lines can converge here. So do I think we're at the top of the bull run for crypto? No. Do I think we're going to have a recession? Not likely. Okay. So Bitcoin versus M2 money supply. You can see the green graph here, and the M2 money supply line is moving up. That's usually a strong indication that Bitcoin's about ready to moonshot to the upside. You can see we were kind of sitting at similar levels back here. Bitcoin kind of had that. You can see the black line was consolidating down. And the M2 and also the green graph were moving up slightly. And then all of a sudden we had an explosion of capital, and boom, Bitcoin's price skyrocketed to the moon. So the thing I want to point out about this is, look, the Fed's cutting rates by default. That is monetary easing. Okay. Even if they're not actually printing money on the printing press, that is by definition monetary easing, because it means what? It means that houses become cheaper to buy, credit cards become cheaper to use, personal loans have lower interest rates, margin accounts have lower interest rates. The cost of borrowing for businesses and people in general are cheaper, which is a form of monetary easing, even if they're not printing money yet, which at some point they will be. Okay. So in my opinion, that's very bullish, and we should see this green graph and the blue line continue to go up. And then of course the price of Bitcoin will go up as well. All right. So price of Bitcoin, pretty basic. We're still looking for a breakout of this bull flag. Current price as of right now, it's a breakout of the bull flag, 68,000. It's possible that this thing could start moving up to the top of the flag and pushing against it. I would argue probably sometime around November, because we'll have more certainty then. It doesn't mean that crypto may not move up before then. It just means that we might kind of sit in between the middle to the top of the flag until November, and then boom, pop off to the moon. And I expect crypto will go with it. So I think, like I said before, I think the market's going to need a couple of days, maybe even until next week, or maybe even until the end of September, to kind of decide what it wants to think about what happened today with the Fed rate cuts. Again, pretty much everything the Fed did today, we kind of anticipated they were going to do, so it doesn't really come as much of a shock to us. So now let's go ahead and go over the miners. We talked about the yearly candles on Bitcoin. So basically every 4 years, there should be a bear market with crypto, right? So 2014, 2018, 2022, those were all bear market years for Bitcoin and crypto. So we should not theoretically see the next one until 2026, which in my mind, basically that's like 100% accuracy rating right there, pretty close to it. We should still see green for the rest of this year and going all the way through 2025 till roughly about the end of next year for both Bitcoin and crypto. All right, so let's talk about the miners. So when are the miners likely to go up? Well, I think it's pretty simple. Once Bitcoin starts breaking to new all-time highs or starts pushing even towards the previous all-time highs, in this case 75,000, it's possible that the miners might actually front run that move. We might see the miners move a little bit ahead of Bitcoin. I mean, you can see that the miners really blasted off here right around the same time Bitcoin was smashing all-time highs, November, December, January of last cycle, right around the halving year. So I'm not really expecting much of anything different this time. I think all of the Bitcoin miners, okay, I don't know how many there are, but just the ones we look at plus all the others, plus plays like Coney, MSTY, Ybit, the Yield Max ETFs, those and any other crypto dividend ETFs should theoretically go up. MicroStrategy and Coinbase also will likely go up with these. Okay. I think MicroStrategy will go up in singularity with or in tandem with Bitcoin by itself, and then Coinbase will go up as the entire crypto market lifts to the upside. That's kind of what I think is going to happen. So CLSK, I mean, the price unfortunately has gotten below this line. Do I think it's going to come down to this white line? Probably not. I don't see that as being likely. Again, the oversized, well, I wouldn't call it oversized. I'd call it just right, in my opinion, Fed rate cut that we got today, but some people thought it was oversized. Some people thought it was too much. It's all open to interpretation, but in my mind, it was the right move for the Fed to make, given everything, all things considered. I do suspect all the miners are going to start moving up pretty much immediately after that. But I would say probably pretty much right about this $8 level should be right around the lows. Okay. Again, I can't say that with certainty, but if we go back in time here, you guys can see that we did actually have a pullback last cycle right around the same time 4 years ago. And the pullback was pretty gnarly. Okay. It was roughly about if I measure this exactly, roughly about a 55% move. That's not a small pullback, not even a little bit. So this one is a little bit larger than that one. It's 67%, but again, it is roughly about the same amount, roughly about the same time frame during the halving year and both halving years. And I'm aware that this time we are below the EMAs. That is unfortunately the difference here. During this cycle, the price was above the EMAs, but during this one, it's below the EMAs. Again, this is being skewed because of the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Okay, I think likely the market's just priced in the Bitcoin ETFs, and we're going to see the real rip and the real bull run as we get closer to the end of this year. I had to think about this for a while. I think that's likely what's going to happen. So $8, I'm kind of looking at as the bottom. Could it go lower? Sure. If you're worried about it, I'd say roughly about $5. Again, the swing high is all the way up here at 25. You can look at these levels in between. You got roughly about $12 to $14, and then you have 22 to 24 somewhere there. I think CLSK could probably easily hit 25, maybe even go up to 30. That's also possible as well. So this move roughly about 175%. So I'm going to start at the top of the list here with Mara. So I think Mara is also, I think a lot of these miners probably have found their lows, if I'm being completely honest with y'all. It's hard to say exactly where a dip buying opportunity could be here because I think crypto is going to go up pretty quick, but I would be looking somewhere around $13 to $14 as a bottom. Zones above that, we're looking at roughly about $18.40 to $20, and then I'd say about 30 to 33 somewhere in there is definitely realistic. I think that miners could actually go much higher. Then the prices that I'm showing you today, I'm just simply showing you because that's the previous all-time high, or the previous swing high. I mean, so 125% move here. Riot, this one did get kind of crunched a little bit, unfortunately, but again, it's pretty much right. Maybe, well, not exactly where I would have expected it to bottom, but pretty close to basically this previous low here, or even kind of this area, roughly about that 770 is what I would have been looking at for a low. So it's possible this area could hold. You got some candle highs here before a breakout. That could be a significant area. So roughly about $7. I would look at that as probably the low going forward. But these ranges go anywhere from 790 to 10 and a quarter, and then 1850 all the way up to roughly about 21. Is it going to hit the bear market lows again? I don't think so. But if you're worried about it, 330 to about 550. So the move on the right miner here, 188% move. HUD 8. This one's some of these have already started moving up. Just so y'all know, based on the Fed rate cut, I would say likely probably $9 is going to be low. If I had to guess, I don't think it's going to go back below that. Again, we're just simply too close to the end of the halving year for lower prices. I just don't see that happening. If you're worried about it, the 370 to about 860 is going to be support below. Then roughly about 1760 to 2260 is going to be the target ultimately. Now, HUD 8 could probably go much higher than this. Okay, the previous all-time high for a HUD 8 was very high. So 106% move. So you guys can see that HUD 8 was way, way up here. Okay, this is definitely possible. Something like this could actually happen where these miners could do way bigger gains than people expect. So the previous all-time high on HUD 8 was $84. Okay. Do I think that these miners necessarily peak at the swing highs that I'm showing you guys? That depends. I would say the likelihood that they're going to peak at these swing highs, probably not likely. They're probably going to go past them and to higher highs than that, likely for probably at least 80% of these miners, I would say. Okay, so Cypher, this is an easier one. It's pretty much sitting at support. So support is roughly about 215 to 270. Resistance here, 5 to roughly about 560, and then the swing high at 8. It could go much higher than that. I think realistically it could at least go back to previous all-time highs. So $15, 196% would be the move here. And again, it did get up to 15 in the previous all-time high during the previous cycle. BTPT, you can see the highs on this one was absolutely bonkers. It was at over $30 per Bitcoin miner. So absolutely insane. Just ridiculous gains here, even from the current price. It's over a 10x. So support here, 165 to $2. Current resistance, roughly about 420 to 490, and then the 530 is going to be the swing high here. Maybe this thing bases out somewhere around that 250. I would say that's a likely stopping point for the bears. I don't think they're going to get past that. So 110% move here. BITF, this thing is basically just sitting in between the trend line and support here. So anywhere between this trend line and the top of the support zone, I'd say is a good buying area. That's just my opinion. So 160 to 240. If you're worried about it dropping off a cliff, which I think, again, likely is not going to happen, 40 cents to 92 cents would be your next level. And then $3 to roughly about 360 is going to be the resistance. And then the previous swing high is 390. So if I just measure it from the current price to the previous swing high is a 100% move. Look, I'm going to tell you all this right now, okay? Assuming that the soft landing narrative plays out and the Fed is data dependent, they're ahead of the curve, okay, everything is going to be good going forward, which I think it is. I think that the window to accumulate crypto is running out, okay? I think we are getting close to crypto and Bitcoin going on the final move of its parabolic bull run, which again, in my opinion, is going to last for probably another 12 to 15 months. When I say the last leg of the move, I mean like the actual bull run itself, because again, the The move we had in early this year to March was the spot Bitcoin ETF pricing. I think that was what was being priced in, but the actual bull run itself has not been priced in yet. So 12 to 15 months. Again, you could accumulate later on down the road into 2025 if you want to, but um, for some people, it's going to be a 50-50 risk. For some people, they think, oh, well, this is going to be a recession, so I'm going to wait for lower prices, and they may not get their prices. Okay. Um, I'm telling you personally, I don't think there's going to be a recession. Okay. I just don't think so. I'm not seeing it. I don't see any reason why there would be or should be. If there was any risk of it, I can tell you all right now, Trump is likely going to get reelected. He will fix any issues that could potentially cause a recession. That's what I'm predicting. Whether it comes true or not, I don't know. But I would bet a great deal of money on myself to be right in this situation if I could, from the outside looking in. And there's going to be the other party that says, oh, yeah, Fed's cutting rates, to the moon. Let's load our bags and all that stuff. I mean, you can adjust accordingly. You don't have to necessarily be extreme one way or the other. You could just DCA in. That's what we're doing. It's entirely up to you. But again, I think the window to accumulate anything crypto related is closing and getting smaller before we go to all-time highs. And again, what you guys choose to do is up to you. If you're just looking for some quick, easy money, you want to wait to see the confirmation of the move, that's up to you. If you want to get in early and you think it's going to move and you want to get in beforehand, which is usually what the whales do, again, that's up to you. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.